The amount of information that you need to absorb when raw feeding is practically never ending, whether you just started a week ago or have been raw feeding for 5+ years. There's so much we've discovered about pet nutrition, yet there's so much undiscovered as well. We can only do the best we can with the information that we have. However, there are a few things that I believe are important to remember, but aren't often talked about enough. So in this video, I will be going over 5 things you may not have known about when raw feeding and why they're important to be aware of. Number 1, storing high thiaminase fish with other meats. When meal prepping, storing as much as you can in each container might be the most convenient, but did you know that there are some fish that contain an enzyme called thiaminase that breaks down thiamine? Thiamine, or vitamin B1, is an essential vitamin for dogs, cats, and ferrets. And cats actually require 2 to 4 times more thiamine per day than dogs do. Thiaminase is an enzyme that breaks thiamine molecules in half, making it unable to be utilized by the body. A pet deficient in thiamine will experience weakness, weight loss, lethargy, and in extreme cases, abnormal heartbeat, neurological symptoms, seizures, and eventually death. Common fish that are fed in a raw diet that contain thiaminase are Atlantic herring, California anchovy, Pacific mackerel, and rainbow smelt. This doesn't mean these fish can't be fed, they just shouldn't be stored in the same container as other muscle meats that provide thiamine, like heart, pork, liver, and kidney. Cooking destroys thiaminase, so canned fish are fine to be included with other meats. If you're feeding a high thiaminase fish, it's also suggested to feed at a separate time than other food, but there are mixed theories on this. Number 2, giving puppies raw honey. Many holistic pet owners claim that local raw honey has a lot of health benefits, such as aiding in seasonal allergies, skin issues, and GI upset. Because of this, new owners tend to think that it would be a great addition to add into their new puppies meal as a preventative. However, raw honey can sometimes contain something called Clostridium botulinum spores, which is a bacteria that produces protein that can cause neurotoxicity. These spores are likely within the honey from being picked up by bees and brought back to the hive. A small amount of this bacteria can be beneficial for healthy dogs, but because puppies' immune systems are still developing, these spores could make them quite sick. This is why you're not supposed to give honey to babies as well. Local raw honey can be a great addition to a healthy dog's diet in moderation, but should be avoided in a puppy's diet until at least 1 year of age, as well as immunocompromised and diabetic dogs. Number 3, counting uterus as a second secreting organ. Along with liver, a second secreting organ is required in a raw diet because of the concentration of essential minerals and water-soluble vitamins that they provide. Common ones being spleen, kidney, pancreas, brain, and thymus. The testicles are also counted as a second secreting organ, which makes many raw feeders assume that the uterus is one as well. The uterus actually does not secrete and is considered a muscular organ that houses fertilized eggs. However, the ovaries that are attached to the uterus secrete hormones and produce eggs into the reproductive tract, and therefore are a secreting organ. If you happen to feed uterus, be sure to check to see if the ovaries are attached. If so, you can feed the uterus as muscle meat and the ovaries as the secreting organ. Number 4, using green-lipped muscle powder to provide manganese. When balancing a raw diet, it's suggested to feed blue or green-lipped mussels as a manganese source. But sometimes these can be difficult to find. It's often much easier and more cost-efficient to order green-lipped mussel powder online and just add a scoop to the meal. But is this the best source of manganese? Unfortunately, green-lipped mussels aren't a very concentrated source of manganese in its fresh form anyway. While they do contain this mineral and are better than nothing, blue mussels are a much more concentrated source. So freeze-drying an already low source of manganese would potentially result in an even less bioavailable source. If you can't source blue mussels, green tripe and raw and soaked pureed pumpkin seeds are also an option. Number 5, not considering the hormones from the thyroid glands in raw necks. Necks are among the most popular raw meaty bone to feed not only to raw-fed pets, but given as a recreational chew to pets on commercial diets as well. But did you know that necks, as well as gullets and tracheas, raw or dried, still contain trace thyroid hormones within the surrounding tissue? An excess amount of these hormones can lead to hyperthyroidism, which can result in weight loss, excessive water consumption, increased heart rate, restless behavior, and can lead to kidney or heart failure if left untreated. There have been many cases of thyroid toxicosis in dogs that consumed too much of this hormone, and once the food or a treat was removed from the diet for a few weeks, the levels stabilized. While necks, gullets, and tracheas are still a great addition to the raw diet or as a treat, they need to be fed in moderation. For my pets, I try to keep it to 2 necks a week if I'm feeding it in that week's prep. Then I go a week or 2 without it. Of course, there have been times where I've needed it to be my main source of raw meaty bone for that week, and there was nothing I could do about it. In the end, it's best just to be aware and do the best you can. Want to learn more about raw meaty bones? Check this video out.